Hey everyone, we got some massive news out of Palo Alto Networks in their third quarter 2024 earnings conference call. Now, this was one I was especially looking forward to because of a big strategic shift that Palo Alto Networks implemented in their previous quarter. So I was looking forward to an update on how that strategy is going because it has huge implications for the cybersecurity industry overall, not just for Palo Alto Networks. So let's take a look at the latest developments.
I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.
All right, so Palo Alto Networks noting that with artificial intelligence, they expect attacks to come at an even faster pace. They think it's going to make it easier for cyber criminals to launch cyber attacks. And of course, that's going to lead to more businesses and institutions looking to cybersecurity firms to increase the security. So overall, that's going to provide a tailwind for Palo Alto Networks and the industry overall. Now, according to Palo Alto Networks, 50% of employees of most companies are using some sort of AI application. And they have recently announced a suite of products which are aimed to secure this AI usage by design. They expect this to continue to provide a tailwind to the cybersecurity industry. And I agree with this forecast. I think this will be a tailwind for the cybersecurity industry as criminals will utilize artificial intelligence to implement more AI attacks. All right, moving on. The company said that the resurgence of cloud migrations is being driven by the need to get data into the cloud to be AI ready. And that's causing discussions around the cloud security platform. So that's another reason why businesses are looking to cybersecurity more often now because they're integrating more of their data to the cloud so that they can utilize more of these AI services. That too is good news for Palo Alto Networks. Okay, here's the big thing that I was looking for an update on is the report on their strategy. So management saying that they're delighted to report despite concerns around their platformization approach after their last quarter. They must have been watching my videos about my concerns surrounding this platformization report. Uh, Other individuals that were also concerned with the cybersecurity industry following their big strategy change in the last quarter. The customer feedback so far has been nothing but encouraging. They have initiated way more conversations in their platformization than they expected. And management saying if meetings were a measure of outcome, they have gone up 30%, and a majority of them have been centered on platform opportunities. And they continue to see it be that way over the next many quarters. So, good news reporting back from Palo Alto Networks that their strategy to move to gaining more customer adoption of more products or getting customers to go to Palo Alto Networks for all of their cybersecurity needs and not just one or two or three cybersecurity needs. Palo Alto Networks wants to attract customers for all their cybersecurity needs. And that was the big strategy change they made in the previous quarter that I was concerned about. I was concerned how much that would cost Palo Alto Networks in terms of the cost to serve because they were going to offer free trials to many of the customers. And I was concerned how competitors would react to this strategy, and I was concerned how customers would respond to this strategy. I wanted to see if Palo Alto Networks received a strong customer response, and it looks like they did in terms of the number of conversations. They also highlighted that they did sign a few more customers, and they did see an uptick, a 23% growth in RPO, which was an uptick from the previous quarter. RPO is remaining performance obligations. So they are seeing customers spend more, sign longer term, bigger contracts with Palo Alto Networks, which translated into 15% revenue growth and 3% growth in their billings. Now, this is only the first stage of the data I was looking for from Palo Alto Networks. The next stage will come from competitors. I want to see how competitors like CrowdStrike, Fortinet, and others are going to respond to this strategic shift from Palo Alto Networks. Are they going to offer an incentive of their own to try and get and keep their customers from going with Palo Alto Networks? It's going to be really interesting. So I'm going to keep an eye out for that as well. So the company saying that they ended up building backlog this quarter, which is a good sign, right? Building backlog means you signed more customer value than you served in revenue, right? Every quarter, Palo Alto Networks serves a certain amount of cybersecurity services and bills revenue and generates revenue from those services. And then every quarter, Palo Alto Networks signs new contracts with customers for future services. And that difference between the backlog, how much revenue they generated, actually improved. So they signed more new deals, not the quantity, but the value, new deals than they served in the quarter. That's good news. Their operating margins expanded by 200 basis points, delivering 25% growth in operating income and 20% growth in earnings per share. Solid growth. So I didn't see a big uptick in spending in order to serve this new strategy. That was good news. And they're aware that their accelerated consolidation and platformization strategy created significant conversation last quarter. So they go on to provide more information about this strategy, saying that not many of their customers are fully platformized. And so their regular customers are ranging from, let's say, 200,000 to 300,000 for their landed strategy. For their fully platformized customers, their spending annual revenue ranges from 2 million to 14 million. So the big difference, that's a nearly 10 times more, 10 to 20 times more in spending from a customer if they're just a landed customer versus a platformized customer. Platformized meaning that they're going with Palo Alto Networks for all their cybersecurity needs. And so that big difference is what led Palo Alto Networks to say, man, let's focus on getting our customers with us completely. And that could drive significant increase in spending, which will drive an increase in revenue, which will drive an increase in profitability. So that's what drove them to accelerate the rollout of that strategy at the end of last quarter, following some successful pilots earlier in the year. So that's management explaining to investors why they chose that strategy. I appreciate that level of detail from management teams. Anytime management goes through the trouble of highlighting their strategy in more detail to be more transparent, that's a positive from my perspective. More transparency, more detail means a lower risk because I get to have more information to evaluate the business, which allows me to make a better informed decision, and that leaves lower risk. With lower transparency and lower information to evaluate, I have to use a lot more estimates and assumptions, which increases the chance that I'm overestimating or underestimating, which increases the chance of me making a mistake. And so I'm considering the investment a greater risk if I have to use more estimates and assumptions versus if management is providing me with more information. And so that reduces the likelihood that I make a mistake in my estimates and in my assumptions. So I appreciate when management teams provide this kind of detail. All right, and I'll end with these final two statements here. Their third quarter efforts resulted in 65 incremental sales, platformization sales in Q3, and that was up by 40% from the previous quarter. So 40% growth in the number of sales in this type of sale, platformization sale. And they see a runway to delivering approximately 2,500 plus platformization sales, up from the current 900 that they have. So an incremental 1,600 sales from this strategy, up from the 900. So they expect this to deliver strong results. And that's the foundation of their goal of hitting 15 billion in next-gen security sales by the end of the year. So good news from Palo Alto Networks here in terms of the strategy, of the effectiveness of the strategy. I still didn't upgrade the stock to a buy. I still have it rated as a hold, but I think this was a good step in the right direction here. I'm going to wait and see how competitors respond, and I'm going to wait and see how customers react longer term over the next 2 or 3 quarters. And I'll continue to evaluate and report back to you on how this strategy is going. Did you know that over 90% of the people that watch my channel are not subscribed? It'll really help support my channel if you hit that subscribe button. And oh, by the way, one of the benefits of being subscribed is that I take requests from subscribers more often than I do from non-subscribers. So if you prefer that benefit, please subscribe to the channel.